It's not connected for some reason, brother.
Right.
When you
So,
hit,
there we go. Better get it.
okay, hit go live, man.
I'm not ready yet. I'm just gonna wait till you get there.
Hit go live, man. And go back over to OBS. Just do it. Just do it.
But if I lie, I'm not ready yet. I'm trying to get.
Okay. Okay.
Greetings. This is the Courage to Change Now. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Daniel Reeves. Again, I am 25 years old. I am pursuing my master's degree in communication science at Alabama A&M University. Today, we have some interesting topics for you. I would also like to take time to thank you for joining us and to thank all of you who donated. If you haven't donated or you would like to donate, be sure to type in tctcnow.com and be sure to go hit that donations tab to give us a token of consideration, or we will gladly thank you for it. Once again, about this movement, the Courage to Change Now, we want to bring the power to change now to help youth, millennials realize that you can change now. And how do you change now? With information. If you're doing the same thing, it's considered insane. So we want to bring to you things that will help us further ourselves as a community. Now, about the Courage to Change. Now, when it comes to our movement, we need growth. Growth is always our main focus and our main priority. We want to help bring lots of resources to the community around us, through the people we know, through the information we can share, etc. And Brother Hillman Muhammad will be our guest today. He was with us last week. Some of you may remember and may recall, but today we want to talk about financial education. And I also would like to share my appreciation for Brother Hillman allowing me this opportunity to come on here and give our community the information that they need. Now, Brother Hillman is he speaks his mind. He's not only the founding CEO of Black Wall Street, Alabama, he is also the founder of the Courage to Change Now movement, which brings you this news hour. I'd like to say hello to Brother Hillman. Can you hear me, Brother Hillman?
Yes, now I could hear you, but I was muted out because I had a little background noise. But I was listening to you, brother. You are really fit for this program, and I hope that the listening audience will salute you and applaud your effort. Because as you stated, you're 25 years old and you're still a student at the University of Alabama A&M. And it takes courage. It takes courage to do what you're doing. And I want the young people, because we're looking for young people like a Brother Daniel, that's going to come, step up to the plate. We got a lot of space here. We got a lot of space in this arena for them to showcase their intellect and stop the mainstream media for downcasting us and playing like our young people are nothing but thugs, sagging young people, showing people their underwear. We got Brother Daniel here who's going to be an example and an agent of change. This is why the Courage to Change Now movement is so important. I know you guys are getting tired of hearing the courage to change because you're not willing to change. No one now is ready to change. We've been eating on a lollipop from this government that is unraveling right now before our face. And we think that we're in a good position But brothers and sisters, when you see what we are going to present to you in the coming months, the coming years, with our young platform of news reporters, you're going to say, where was I? You're going to be like Rick Van Winkle, who went up into the hills and took a 20-year nap. And when he went up, King George III his picture was there as the leader. And after 20 years, he came back down and George Washington's picture was there. You're going to be like that in not 20 years, but in a year, giving us the opportunity. And Brother Daniel represented to you where you can go to help this wonderful program. And we're not even on our topic yet, but our topic is to get your attention that something has got to change. We are sympathetic towards the crisis and the many lives that have been lost. I have experienced the loss of my twin brother, who we were in the womb together. We were on our mother's breast together. Just to make it plain to you, I lost my twin brother just a little over a week ago, last Sunday. Not this Sunday, but last Sunday. And it's a lot of losses going on. But those that make it, we have to say, like our Jewish brothers and sisters say, never again will we allow ourselves to be put in the wretched position that we've been put in. Because it's a whole new playing field now. This country has unraveled. The world is unraveling. But we are the prize. According to Genesis 15, we are the one that God is favoring in this time. But there's been a great job through social engineering to make us think that we were 3/5 of a human being, not worthy of any type of leadership, any type of value. But as we go through this show today, you're going to see a young man, 25, and an older man that will be celebrating the 24th anniversary of his 50th year birth in a few days, less than a month down the road. And you're going to see us look at the gap between the two generations, the baby boomer and the millennial, and see how close we have come together and how close we need to be in order to make a change and to change the condition not only of ourselves personally and individually, but ourselves as a community and ourselves as world leaders. Back to you, Brother Daniel.
Indeed.
I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate that. Well said. Like you said, we need to get things back into the hands of the young. We need to get information to the millennials to see what they can do, because they are the next leaders of the generations to come. So, you know, and the people under them are going to be looking to them. So it's very important to understand how creating a legacy and passing down things is very important in the long run. Like today, we want to talk about financial education, my brother Hillman. Now, I hear according to Robert Kiyosaki, there's a difference between financial education and financial literacy. So, would you care to give us your take on financial education?
Well, education, whenever I see the word education, I look at the root word of education as it is in its original state. Education means, it comes from a Latin word. The root word is educo, which means to draw out of us. And when we draw out of us, that means we draw from our nature, which is akin to God or our creator or the author of our life. He embedded something in us for us to draw on whenever the occasion is called for. But what has happened in this 6,000-year period of the rule of the evil that was headed up by people in Caucasian flesh, which is the elites branch. It's not all Caucasian, not all white skin was in the decision making. I want us to understand that. The elite formed education, not only for us as ex-slaves or slaves, but they form the education for their managers, which is the government. Then that trickled down to the lower tier, which is laborer, and we are at the lowest spot on the laboring. So therefore, they could not give us what God put in us. They could not allow that to flourish under their rule, because God put in us creative being, creative ideas, creative intelligence that is found in the sperm cell that makes its way to the seed, to the egg in the oval, in the triple darkness replication of his self-creation. And I don't want to go too far into that, but I can. But I just wanted to point out to you the value that we have in us and the attempt to keep it out of us from coming out. So therefore, we got something similar to a training, and that's where financial literacy comes in. Now, a man that never taught you right, you wouldn't expect him to teach you right. That's what Malcolm X said. But now he give us something that is called financial literacy, meaning that literacy meaning you understand, but he don't give you the basis of finance. Basis of finance is real money. Gold, as you may see in my background, is real money. Silver is real money, because that came with the earth that God created. And that has value today, as you see in the marketplace. So when we say education, we're talking about educating you on your money, your economy, not the world's economy. So we want you to lay hold to this idea. And go ahead, Brother Dan. I'm sorry, but I had to finish that point.
Okay. When it comes to money, you mentioned, let's understand money. How is money given its value? See, a lot of people don't understand that money has to be backed up by what is called assets. Assets such as gold, like you mentioned, land, and other things. So the fact that paper is the dollar bill, it's backed up by gold, or it used to be backed up by gold, to my understanding. In 1971, President Nixon removed the gold standard, which basically gave the dollar bill its value on the market, meaning that, yeah, we have a bunch of dollar bills, paper money to give you, but in order to make sure that's valuable, we have gold stashed up to trade it out, if need be. But basically, that gives a security to that paper money, so you just don't have the idea of this is just money, So anyway, having an asset behind something is what creates money, what makes value, because land doesn't depreciate. You can do all kinds of things with land. Gold does not depreciate. It's a precious metal, and it's one of the most conductive metals on this planet. So understanding money and how it gets its value, Brother Hillman, can you give us your take on the dollar bill right now? We understand the economy is changing. What's your insights on that?
Well, one of the things that I would like to first of all clarify, what is money? Because we've been taught, and Robert Kiyosaki, he's doing a great job. He wrote this book called Fake. He starts off with pointing out to us fake money. Then, of course, if you're going to believe in something fake, you need some teachers to teach you about the fake stuff. And then, so he said we have fake teachers. So we have had fake teachers that taught us that the dollar bill that is being printed today, and just a few days ago, the government authorized for $2.2 trillion in the public. But then if you look down deep into it, it's about $3 to $4 trillion that's being printed at the drop of a hat. Where does it get its value from? But we've been duped into believing that paper with Big Ben on it, with George Washington on it, with Hamilton on it, all of this is money. No, that's paper. and paper that represent debt. And this is how we come up to 23, $24 trillion in debt, which is enslaving our future generation and forever if we continue along that way. But money, gold is money. Gold is real money, because it has an intrinsic value to it. It will go up. I mean, it had an asset value to it.
It's a fixed asset.
It's a fix. The paper is worth nothing. It was at the beginning. And this is why when the Federal Reserve was announced, was brought into being in 1913 on December 24th, they had to sell the people on the idea that that piece of paper was valuable. So they attached it to gold. And then they had, with it being attached to gold, it had its value there. So it stated on there that it would be redeemable for gold on the various demand. But then they continued printed paper and didn't have enough asset to back the paper, because they didn't have enough gold. They printed more paper than they had gold. And some of the countries picked up on it and decided that they was going to make a run on their gold, exchanging their paper for gold. And this is when I know President Nixon get the blame for taking the money off of the gold standard, taking the paper money off of gold standard. But again, like I say, he was a manager. The elite called him in to a private meeting. In fact, as the story is told, Congress was not aware of that meeting. And they told Tricky Dick, you're the president. You got to make the announcement. You got to make that announcement. You're the president of the free world. I mean, jacked him up out of his mind, and he came before the camera, and we're still talking about he was to blame. As we're talking about Trump, like Trump running something, it's the elite that's running, that calls the shot. Because there's an old saying, whoever has the gold calls the tune. You know, the fiddler is just playing because somebody paid. But that's the difference. I know I went a long way around it, but
okay,
impress upon the people this paper that you holding on to, that you waiting for with anticipation of getting some money, $1,200 to $3,000 per family. Businesses are looking at getting 10,000 to $1 million. I was in a session last night where some financial people have looked at this CARE program. It's wonderful if we take advantage of it, but we need our education.
True. And what you were saying about the gold standard, yeah, they blamed Nixon, but back when the stock market crashed, Kiyosaki believes the stock market crashes, every 10 years, it's a cycle. So what happened with the Federal Reserve, like you said, they were established, but when people realized the stock market was crashing, people rushed to banks to withdraw their money, which is what you call bank runs. Okay, some people demanded gold for that exchange, but the thing was the Federal Reserve didn't have enough gold to give to people, so therefore, after that crash, there was a bank holiday by Roosevelt, which allowed banks to reopen and money to be backed up by paper assets, or AKA just more paper money being printed. So if you fast forward to now, we are still on that standard of paper assets. And then, do you know anything about the Glass-Steagall Act, Brother Hillman?
I'm not. Could you
okay,
share a little more on that? Because I'm not.
Okay, the Glass-Steagall Act was a part of the New Deal, to help protect us from another crash, where it allowed it kept commercial banks separate from investment banks, because with commercial banks, you can invest your money and all they have to do is hold 10% of that money. So the rest of that money, they can use that and buy investments and other things. So you see, they didn't have a way to back that up. So that was a way to protect customers from losing their money. But when it comes to what was it, Bill Clinton in 1991, he repealed that Glass-Steagall Act. So now there's no protection. So we're kind of back at the beginning. We have that risk factor again. So, you know, and Kiyosaki recently gave a prediction of the stock market crashing, but we want to know, how could we protect ourselves, like we were talking about gold. Let's learn more about money. What do you have to share for our audience?
Well, I'll tell you, God's money holds its value, and God's money is in the earth. And I am an independent affiliate with one of the greatest wealth movement in the annals of history of our 6,000-year period of rule under this system. Dr. Harold Seid, born in Germany of a Greek father, has started a movement back in 2011 introducing gold in small increment, where honest, common people could have access to that only 1% of the population had access to or knew about until Dr. Harold Seid. And I came into Karatbars understanding a need to get out of the debt system with appreciating asset such as gold. And he made it so great for us to do that by acquiring gold in small increment, starting from 1/10 of a gram of gold all the way up to 5 grams, 6 grams of gold, where you can have it, you can order it. We do not sell gold as an affiliate. We offer you a free gold savings account. And if you want to help Black Wall Street and the Courage to Change Now movement, you could become an affiliate just by checking out our website and hit the contact page and put your information on that. But let me share something with the audience, Brother Daniel, about how easy it is to start accumulating gold in small increment. When we're talking about giving you a free gold savings account, that comes with the 100,000 affiliates that we have throughout the 146 countries that Karatbars is now doing business in, which is considered points of distribution in the market arena. But what we do, give individual people that we know, love, and trust, that know, love, and trust us, access to the gold by giving them a free gold savings account. And what that account doesn't even ask you for your social security number, doesn't ask you for a credit card. It asks you some personal information and allow you to choose a username and password to protect your asset. But that website is free to you, but it's not free to the company. It's a state-of-the-art software that is valued at about over $30,000, and it takes you from one to another, where everyone can play on an equal field without being treated or mistreated in this circle. We're going to talk about that at some other time, but I just want to point that out. When you talked about money, we need to exchange this paper, this declining, devaluing paper, which is in danger worldwide. We got a lot of countries that are now, including America, including the Federal Reserve, including the Treasury Department, that's including the banks, that's stockpiling gold with your money that you put in the account. Now, you talked about this act where the bankers, when you deposit, say you deposit $1,000 into a bank, they only are required to keep 10% of that.
Right.
And the other 9,000, you deposit 1,900 goes up for the holding companies, the investment company. And what are they investing in with your money? That's something to think about. But what if you can exchange your money and into an asset which they are going to get? We're changing the playing field, brother. We're changing the playing field. Okay.
Total shift. Yeah.
Okay,
I,
go ahead.
yeah.
Next.
So when it comes to that, now we have an idea of what money is, understand how money works and how it's backed up. Let's talk about investing. You know, I know you're not well, you wouldn't consider yourself a investor, but let's talk about Robert Kiyosaki's points of investment. Some of his tips. His first tip was to adjust your money mindset. What when it comes to our mindset, how can we improve that when it comes to money? Because what some may know is to go to work, get the money, and spend it. Brother, hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure you can hear me. Yeah, but the first idea about money, um, in my eyes, what I was taught was to work, make it, and spend it. Nobody teaches you about the saving. They say save, but learning about assets is what's important, because, like you said, that's paper money. You can have that money in the 401k or anything just sitting up, and it can just be gone. Like, literally, it's not supported by anything. So when it comes to adjusting our mindsets, can you help us understand the importance of having an asset? If you can briefly describe that, or give your experience.
Well, one of the things that money is always been known as a medium of exchange.
True.
Right now, the paper, which is called fiat currency, has value.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for you to maintain that value, you have to turn it over once you earn it into an appreciating asset. And that's the money that we call cash flow, which is something that Black Wall Street is going to be educating the people in how to develop that cash flow on a linear income, to how to defray, how to reduce your tax burden, how to take that additional cash flow and invest it into real estate or precious metals as gold. Now, once you invested in there, now you are starting to accumulate with your cash flow wealth. And this is how wealth is done, but they never taught us about that. They taught us how to earn money, how to spend money, how to pay taxes on that we earn. I mean, the federal taxes, it's not the only tax that you pay that they take out of your check. And lo and behold, I found out something that was kept a secret from me for a long time. And I think a lot of people still don't realize this, that the IRS on their website say 80% of the W-2 wage earners allow their employees to take more monies out of their check for taxes each pay period than they are required to or allowed to, because we do not know about education of our finance. We do not know about our money and the value of our money. To let someone take 25 to 33% of your earnings before you even see it is ludicrous. And I didn't work that many W-2 jobs in my adult life, so I wasn't really aware of it. But we're going to teach classes here when everything come back to normal, right here at our office, a Black Wall Street office, 810 Regal Drive, Southwest, in Huntsville, Alabama. We're going to mirror these and model these all through Alabama, because I am the founder and CEO of Black Wall Street, Alabama. And we want to bring industry. We want to bring an economic base back to our community. Absent politicians that comes in into our neighborhood every election season. I call it a season because it's just like a hunting season, where they come and hunt for votes and they never come back to you after they get in office. They promise that they're gonna create economic development in our neighborhood. But how long have we been waiting for that promise? Because once they get in the office, they don't do anything. But we at Black Wall Street, partnering up with other individuals, other groups, other nonprofit organizations, tax preparers, financial education, financial doctors of finance, and all that. We are partnering and networking with these groups to bring to you a holistic education into economic development. And there's a saying that we have coined here at Black Wall Street with the courage to change: brain power equals economic development. You can't put new wines in an old vessel. So to put new money in an old mindset has not produced anything about economic development that I have seen. But we're going to introduce the value of money, whether it's paper money, whether it's God's money, but it is a medium of exchange for something of value that continue to serve you and enrich you because of the services and products that you develop, that now people are coming investing their dollars into your community through purchasing products. I hear a lot of saying about buy black. We don't have enough black businesses to buy from. Everybody don't eat barbecue. Everybody don't need a haircut, because as you see me, I don't go to the barber shop no more. Everybody don't, all women don't need nails or some of that hair that they pay dearly for. That's what we got in our community. That's not businesses. I want to turn it back over to you, man, because I want to segue on something else when I get a chance. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up the point. A lot of younger viewers may have seen the documentary with Killer Mike. He's a artist and a community activist, where he spent about a week, maybe 2 weeks, just using black products, being black bought. So there was no shampoo, there was no food to find, there was what else? Other services, But the point being that we need to see what we can do to help start our own businesses and help each other. But yes, Brother Hillman, I heard everything you said, just following up with you. But back to Robert Kiyosaki, he mentions know what kind of income you're working for. I thought that was interesting. Because a lot of people, we just work. It's a routine, and it's okay if you have a certain routine, but with that routine, how is it helping prepare you to the next cycle or whatnot? What are you doing with your money? And moving on to the next tip, he mentioned convert ordinary income into passive income. We have to get creative when it comes to that. See what people need, because a service is a business. So you have to put your thinking cap on, so to say, and and be creative, because we are creative people all day, every day. And the next step is the investor is the asset or the liability. To me, that sounds like you determine your outcome. Are you making an investment on something that's not going to be valuable in the long run, or will it appreciate over time? So, do you have any insight on this so far? I have two more though. You can
well, look, you loaded me up right now. If I could get through those.
Okay.
But one of the things I want to say, we are not financial advisors.
Right.
We are educators.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Wall Street 501c3 is based on education. And the reason why I chose education, because education is the bedrock of a thriving nation, a thriving community. And to have that as a platform, the first thing that is needed, if you are not doing something, if you have a history of not producing in your community, then you need education on how to do it. And one of the things that I understand, we need education on, first of all, what is the value of investment? And we only been taught the risk factor. Well, when you get ready to invest in something, the risk is looking at you in the mirror if you go stand in the mirror, because the risk factor is within you. If you see that, if you feel that you are not worthy of making money out of your investment and you don't know how, then everything starts with you. You know, charity begins at home, so does education, so does everything. So when you look in the mirror and you see, hey man, I'm a flesh and blood human being with an intelligent mind that's rooted, that's sit over on an intelligent brain. But this is why we need the educational platform. Let me share some with you about, just give an example of the value of education. Now, a lot of us think we are educated. Well, when President Kennedy became president, he ran on a platform of going to the moon and back, taking American people to the moon and back. Okay, he contacted a German scientist, Werner von Braun, and asked him a pointed question. What would it take? He was a German scientist. He said, what would it take to build a contraption and take our people to the moon and back safely? Werner von Braun answered, first of all, the will to do it. The will to do it. Now that's powerful and it could be glossed over, but the will is included with the will of God. If God sanctioned it, you got all the everything, all the resources that you needed to do that. You just have to have the will, and that's the power part of it. Then he went before the Alabama state legislature and told them that he needed $3 million, $3 million grant to bring a university to the city of Huntsville. So he chose the University of Alabama out of Tuscaloosa to start a campus here of Alabama of Huntsville. And in that he stated, it's university climate that brings the businesses. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's not water, it's not real estate, it's not labor or cheap taxes that bring industry to a state, a city, or a community. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's not paper dollar, it's not that. It's brain power. Now, what we have been reduced to 3/5 of a human being, and that has not changed. But what Black Wall Street Tulsa, Black Wall Street East St. Louis, Black Wall Street the Carolinas showed that brain power was rooted in the courage or from the heart of us, that God planted us in us through a seed that germinated at a time of need. Because those people that amassed 35 blocks of businesses, 300 businesses included in that 35 block square mile, where a dollar, like Mike did, a dollar did not leave that community for 100 days. And this is why they were able to blow that area up with industry, with commerce, with economic development. It was the brain power. But since then, when they destroyed that, they destroyed our faith in ourselves to build again. The Nation of Islam in 1975 was recorded as amassing $80 million empire in asset. We're doing trade with foreign countries and all that. But in 1975, we was valued at $80 million. By 1977, we were broke. What did that do for us? It took out of us the spirit, the will to build for ourselves. So it made us dependent. Now we got to go back and reshape that mind, as Jesus said in the 4th chapter, 17th verse. We have to repent, because now the 6,000-year rule is over. Now the kingdom of God is being established. Right here, we had tornado warnings. I think it was Thursday, Sunday we were supposed to do a cast, but it was tornadoes all over Alabama. We didn't know whether one was going to visit us here with the corona crisis going on, with weather going on. And if you look at the newscast, there was some cities that was flat, and God ain't done yet. We approaching the hurricane season. You ain't seen nothing yet. So we have to start looking at, Brother Daniel, to do for ourselves. But first we got to be taught. And this is where Black Wall Street is prevalent and ready to go to work, because it is brain power. And with this media outlet that we have, we can collect the brain power, we can expose the brain power, and we could expose the enemy of our rise. So that's how valuable it is. So go to tctcnow.com if you think it's valuable, if you want to see some progress, and hit that donation tab and donate to a worthy cause that helping a young man like Brother Daniel realize his full potential and others like him. And then hit that contact and tell us something about yourself. Tell us about your willingness to help in this movement. And don't be scared. Ain't nothing happening here but us. And we are dependent on us, because this man that never treated us right now is in a survival mode. And the survival of the fittest is with those that are most educated, most united, and most loving of the value that God placed in us. Closing on that point, when God put Adam in the garden, as Reverend Bishop Miles Monroe said, he didn't build him a table, a bed, a house, or anything. The house was in the trees. The table was in the trees, meaning God has resources. Our wealth is in the gold that's in the earth, that is being unearthed now. Karatbars has access to 3 gold mines, where we don't buy gold to sell to people. We dig up the gold to people who want to exchange their cash, their dollar bill, worthless dollar bill, into an appreciating asset. This is where we at today. It's not too much to talk about. It's a lot for us to do, and to allow you, Brother Daniel, to bring this forth, man. It is so exciting, so unreal.
It is. And you mentioned brain power. I just wanted to share a quote from Robert Kiyosaki. He said, it's not what you say out of your mouth that determines your life. It's what you whisper to yourself that has the most power. Talk about in the mind, huh?
Brother, it's going to be exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, look. If you got a half an ounce of brain, you should endear yourself to this movement. I'm not selling, because it's going to happen. It needs to happen. It is God's will for it to happen. We just got to understand who God is. And God is not the government of this world. God is the sovereign ruler of all, and we are his heritage. We are his to inherit the earth back again. Because in Genesis, God gave this ruling class dominion, not ownership, over the creeping things, over the fish and the this and the that, but he never gave them dominion over human beings. And they took liberty with us to bring us here in America, enslave us for their wealth. We labored for their wealth. And now, since we are free, or so say set free, they won't help us, but they helped their European brothers when they came here. They gave them free land, and the land was not valuable unless they had slaves. So they went and got slaves to build their wealth. So we got to understand God is our Father, and he's come for us. The Old Testament closes out with this verse. before the great and dreadful day which we're living in now. It's a great day for those that plan and align themselves through changing or having the courage to change now from the old way of thinking, because that way is not going to be available to us, to a new way. And it's going to be a dreadful day for those that's trying to keep us and hinder us, like they did in 1921, like they did in 1975. But now is the chance for us to inherit what is ours if we just stand up, unite, and turn. Because the rest of that verse say, Elijah's job was to turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the children's heart back to the father, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. What do you think is going on now? When I was in Syracuse, New York in 1971, 1991.
Okay.
I saw a billboard by the Church of Latter-day Saints. Big billboard. Now, I'm in the ghetto in Syracuse, New York, and I see this billboard, and it says on it, remember, we used to say, God bless America, and expected it. Why did that stick in my subconscious mind that I'm repeating it to you today? Because that was a seed that was planted in me. Remember in 91, when we used to say, God bless America, and expected it. But now God is cursing America and cursing us for not standing up with him. Back to you, Dan. I'll tell you, I just got excited there.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a lot to digest. May have to let that marinate.
But brother,
yeah,
this is a glorious time for those who take this time in this crisis to think ahead, think outside of this present 6,000-year rule, and start to thinking about the value of God, who is the sovereign ruler of all of it. We had a body of knowledge that came to us in 1930. Brother, one day I would like to go to that body of knowledge, because a man that only went up to the 4th grade of education was taught that body of knowledge and labored for over 40 years and produced that $80 million in asset, $80 million empire with underutilized people. A person, he gave us an arena to work out in. I remember in 1971, when I became a member of the Nation of Islam, I was facing 5 years in state prison in Texas. And if you know anything about those state prisons in Texas, they ain't nothing nice. And I came up into the nation and found an arena that I never had to face that again, of loving brothers, productive brothers, creative brothers and sisters that was teaching us value in ourselves. And I stepped up into that body of knowledge, that man that only went to a 4th grade education, that unleashed a body of knowledge about even to the self-creation of God himself to us. He didn't teach us religion. He taught us a knowledge of ourselves and the value of ourselves, and taught us to do for self. And that right now, we got thousands of brothers and sisters throughout the United States and the world that is holding on to that body of knowledge. But the white structured media, mainstream media, corporate media has turned you against Elijah Muhammad, has turned your ears away from Minister Farrakhan. And now you blaming Trump. Trump just came into office. Hell, we had problems in 1555. We had problems in the 1600s when they decided that a black man had no right that a white man was due to honor. You know, we just saw that with Byron Allen. Byron Allen had an ironclad case because he went back to the 1866 Civil Rights Bill that only talked about the ex-slaves, not these weak civil rights bills that came up later that involved everybody that did not experience the same experience that we experienced during slavery, the hardship that we experienced, the wealth that we built for this country. And now he went to the Supreme Court after the lower court had decided in favor of him against Comcast. But when he got to the Supreme Court, they say, remember the Dred Scott decision in 1957, that still stands today. You know, a black man has no right that a white man is supposed to honor, and we honor Comcast, so your case is dismissed. Wake up, brothers and sisters.
Wow. Now, saying that, I wanted to share another quote. I know some people are working right now, you know, some people are like, what can I do? Let me share a quote from Kiyosaki again. He said, don't be addicted to money. Work to learn. Don't work for money. Work for knowledge. So in my eyes, this is as if I'm working for someone, but learn the method, because you're in that cycle. Learn that method and see how you can duplicate that for yourself and grow that somewhere else. And then, you know, you bring that back to your community and you help somebody else learn how to do that as well. So because wherever you're working, there's always something you're going to learn to take with you. It's a matter of how can you apply that to yourself? And then that's going to require some discipline too. You know, how bad do you want to get it done? Let's see. We have another quote down here. He says, the fear of being different prevents most people from seeking new ways to solve their problems. Winners are not afraid of losing, but losers are. Failure is part of the process of success. People who avoid failure also avoid success. So, you know, just something to think about in the meantime, because as Brother Hillman said, this is a new time, a new era. I honestly believe people can feel it. You know, it may be unsaid, but people can feel it. You know, and it's a time of, like I said, we're down. It's time to create, to see what we can flourish in the future. Brother Hillman, I'd like to thank you for joining us again. It's always great talking with you. You're always very informative. And again, I want to tell you personally, thank you for this opportunity, for extending this opportunity. I look forward to doing great things with the program, and I look forward to growing tremendously.
Well, Brother Daniel, you have shown yourself to be coachable and teachable. Although you are in school now to get your master's degree, but how many people would be on that plateau at that stage in their life would allow a brother like myself that only had I graduated from high school, but I dropped out emotionally in high school.
Emotionally, okay.
I dropped out emotionally. I went to the same teacher for math and history. I aced math and flunked history because I wasn't interested in their history. Okay, but now I did 3 semesters at West Los Angeles College in LA, in marketing and in advertising. And I'm putting those skills, because what they did is just stimulate thoughts in me of what my father had placed in me. So when I give an opportunity to a young person like you that aspiring with a degree, but the degree don't mean nothing if you don't have an arena to work out in. Malcolm X didn't have no degree. He came out of college as a street guy, but because he was placed in an arena, he kicked behind. I'll say that on the collegiate level with the academias that the school, the elites put in front of them. He understood the root meaning of this English language, which is, Kiyosaki also said this, and a lot of other people said it. We are enslaved in the language that we speak, but we don't understand it. It's confusing. It's a bastard language. Until you understand the